Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are going to build a Bitcoin price comparison app that allows users to compare prices of Bitcoin across different exchanges. In this project we are going to use React.js with Typescript, and for the backend we are going to use Aircode.io, a user-friendly platform that sponsored this video. We are going to write a simple backend function to save cached prices from 4 different providers and another function to fetch new prices on demand. The cached prices inside the database will be updated every few hours with a simple cron job. In our React app we are going to show those cached prices, and when someone changes the amount here, we are going to fetch the latest prices from all of the providers. We will also add some cool things like skeleton animations, and we will learn how to do nice looking gradients for backgrounds and texts. The whole project is built from scratch, so there is no starter code or anything. I will put the timestamps and the source code in the description, and as always all I ask for is that you will smash that like button for me to give me some extra motivation for the future projects. And if you have questions or anything, let me know in the comments. And now without further ado, let's dive into the code. Alright, so as always we start with an empty directory. Here, as you can see, my project is called coinstable, and in this directory I'm going to open terminal, and we will start by installing a React app, by creating a React app, and we are going to use Vite for this, so not create React app because it's slower, and instead we are going to use yarn Vite and create yarn create Vite, and that's it. Now enter. You can use also npx if you want, but yarn is better. So now it's asking us for the project name, and because I'm running this in the same directory, I don't want to create another directory inside this. I want to use this directory and install all dependencies here inside. So we'll just do dot here. Let's do enter. And it says current directory is not empty. Do I want to remove existing files and continue? Let's do yes. And now it's asking for the framework, and I'm going to select React, and here I'm going to select TypeScript because this time we are going to use TypeScript. And now we have a public directory, source, and everything we will need. So we have git ignore and tsconfig and Vite config and other stuff. So now to install dependencies we need to run yarn. So let's do this yarn, and now it's installing, and then we just need to do yarn dev to start our environment for our React app. So let's do now just yarn dev, and let's see. As you can see, we get this URL. I will just copy and paste it here to my Chrome browser. And yeah, as you can see now it works. I can hide my terminal, and inside source we have our, for example, app tsx. And here I will just remove everything. I will just put here maybe a div, and I will remove this set count, and I don't need this Vite logo, use state and other things. So I will put maybe just test here, so I will see it works. Yes, it works here in the middle. I will remove all of the styles inside here and also from here, because I want to use tailwind.css instead. I will zoom in a little bit so you guys can see better. And I think we don't need this app CSS, so I will just delete this. And now let's install Tailwind. So let's do Tailwind and Vite. So here is how we are going to install it. So we just need to do, we already installed our project with Vite, but we don't have this, we didn't do any templates and stuff. Instead we go to next step, and we are just going to add all of those. You can use npm as you can see, but I will use yarn. So here, as you can see in my terminal, it runs my environment for this app. I will open new tab here, And in the same directory, I will just do yarn add and tailwind CSS, post CSS, and auto prefixer. And now the next step is we need to update this file, tailwind config, but before we need to also run this. So let's do this. Okay, now we should have this tailwind config. Let's see, do we have it? Tailwind config, yes. And now here we need to update this content part. So let's copy this and let's put it here. All right, so now I can hide my terminal. We have tailwind config, and what next? Inside index CSS, we need to import those three things for tailwind. Index CSS, let's put this. And now we need to restart our terminal, or not terminal, but our app. So let's go here, let's do Ctrl+C, and let's start with yarn dev again. So here is our app, and looks like there is a problem with this. Let's see, let's go to our app. This app CSS, we have removed this. So let's remove it from here. And let's see. And now we have this index CSS, and we have our app TSX here, and we have test. Yeah, so it works. Now let's see if Tailwind works. So let's add some class names like text red 500, and it's red. So yeah, everything works. All right, so I will start by changing this div to a main element here, HTML element main, because it fits better than a div, to make it a main element here. All right, so how our app is going to look like. I want to have like some kind of logo or slogan here. I want to have like a small input here, and then some kind of table here underneath. But we are going to start with a background, because I want to have a dark background or dark website here. So I will go to index CSS, and let's put some styling for our body. Whoops, body. And now for our body, I want to have background color of, there's a dark blue I really like, 113. Yeah, and now let's also add color of the text to be white by default, so this text will be visible here. All right, this dark blue looks really nice, but one thing I would like to show you is to put some kind of a gradient here in the middle, so it will look better. So let's do this. Here I will do background image, and I will add radial gradient. So we are adding a radial gradient in the middle, and now we want to put it in the middle, so let's do at 50%, and now let's do comma, and then let's do the start color. So let's do my start color will be 226, and it will start at 0%, so at the center, and then the other color will be transparent, and it will end at 100%. Right, so now we have something like this, and this is because our body is small, I think so. So to fix it, I will just make the body 100% height. So I can do this by applying, I can do this by doing height 100 view height like this, and now as you can see we have this shadow here in the middle of the page. So let me show you how it looks without, just blue, dark blue color, and with we have some kind of this shadow. I can also move it a little bit, so I can say that the start color we start at 20% from the beginning, so it's like a little bigger, this shadow circle. You can play with colors or with those positions to build something nicer. You can also put two colors. So you can do a comma here and you can put another gradient. So you can have like two shadows, one here and one here, and they will be like crashing into each other or something like this. So yeah, play around and see what you can build, make something unique. This is what I'm going to continue with. All right, so we have a nice background. Let's go back to our app.tsx. And here we have just a simple app function and main HTML element. So the next thing that I want to show here would be some kind of logo or something. So I'll put an H1 and it will say find cheapest Bitcoin, something like this. So we have it here. But it looks really lame and I want this to be centered. So I'm going to use this main element to just center everything. So let's do max width of this will be 2XL and I will do MX auto, so it will be centered. So it gained those margins on the left and on the right. It's not visible, but if I will make some borders, you can see that now it has this container of 2XL and it's centered with this MX auto. I'll remove this border and now let's maybe add some more paddings. I will add paddings on the sides of 4, and this is only to make it look better on the mobiles, because on the mobile without these paddings on the side it will start with this text here on the border of my browser. So that's why I'm adding those paddings. Now let's add some paddings from the top, right? Or some margin. Let's do padding on the top and the bottom of 8 maybe. So a little bit more here. All right, and I think that looks good enough for the container. Now let's focus on the text. For the text, I want to put, well, I want to make bigger letters. Let's do uppercase, and I want this to be big letters. So let's do text, maybe 6XL. Yeah, that looks nice. And I want this to be centered. As you can see now, it's aligned to the left side. So let's do text center. Yeah, or maybe, no, text center is fine. All right, so now this text is centered. Maybe I can make it bold, font bold. Yeah, that is better. And now I will show you another cool feature. Instead of putting color like a blue or something on this text, I will put a gradient on this text instead. So first we are going to put a gradient on the background of this text element. So let's do, for example, background gradient to bottom right. And let's start from a purple 600 and let's go to, let's do 2 sky 400. So we have this gradient here from the top left to bottom right, and now I will make it I will put it on the text and not on the background of the text. So to do this, I need to add the background clip text and also text transparent. Yes. So now, as you can see, we have this cool effect. Here on the top left, we have purple, and here we have more like blue. We can also move it a little bit so we can see more of the purple. So I can add, for example, from 30%. So now we have more. So now the purple starts at 30%. somewhere here. So that's why we see a little bit more of this purple color. I think this looks fine. And now let's see for our HTML here. Now the next part is that here underneath I would like to put an input, some kind of input like this input, and yeah, the input, and we want to have a state for our input, and we want to make it prettier. First I will create a state for this input. This input will be used, like you can put $100 or something like this, and it will show you the best offers for Bitcoins, right? So let's do state here. Let's do not inside the return. I want to put it here, const, and let's do amount, and set amount equals use state. Default will be here empty string, because this is text input here, and let's do value equals amount, and let's do set not set on change. On change we want to do event, and with this event we will do set amount event target value, and this looks better now. I will put this into separate lines so it will be a little bit easier to read. Yes, and but now we are starting to have like a lot of things inside our app component. It would be much better to put everything into separate components, right? So I will start by putting this input into separate component. Let's do here inside source, I will do new file here, and let's just do input.tsx Typescript component here, and let's do export default function, and let's do input with capital I. All right, and let's do return here inside, and we are going just to place this input here. So let's grab this input, let's put it here, and as you can see we don't have amount constant, and we don't have this set amount. So we need to grab them from properties, right? So let's do here, let's do props, and here we will do props value, and here we will do something like, and here let's do maybe props on change. All right. So now as you can see I get this error because param props implicitly has any type. So it's much better to declare what type of props is it, or maybe better to say to type those props. So I will define it as input props here, and this part is Typescript. So if you don't use Typescript you can skip it, but basically I'm going just to use props, and I will put here input props. It's like extra definition for our properties here. And for our props, as you can see, we have value, and it's always a string, and then we have onChange, and our onChange is a function, but not any function. It's a change event handler, and as you can see, this has been imported for me from React. So if it doesn't automatically import for you, you need to add this line here on the top. And here we just need to add a param that this is HTML input element. All right, and that's it for our input. All right, so now let's go back to our app.tsx, and now let's try to use our input. So if I do capital I here and I do enter, let's import input from input, and as you can see it has been imported for me here. It added this line of code automatically. If it doesn't do it for you, you need to add those lines, and it automatically added this value and onChange, because those properties are marked as required. If I add question mark question mark here, those will be not required. But let's say that for inputs, both value and change are required. All right, so here, this will be easy. For the value, I will just put amount, and for the onChange, I will grab the event and I will do set amount and event target value. The same way we had it before, but the difference will be now that I will style it not here. I will not add class names here, but instead I will go to input, and here I will add class name. And for the class names, I will put class names here so I don't have them. I'll put them here so I don't have them inside app.tsx. And all of the inputs will be styled the same way. Right, so for our input, let's maybe do some border. And let's do border will be white. And now we don't see any difference. But let's add background blue 500, or maybe let's do darker, let's do 950. So it's like a dark blue. I don't want the border to be pure white, but instead I want this to be 10% visible. So it's a white now border, but the opacity is only 10%. Right, so I want what else? I want to have, let's see, the text is white. Yeah, I will add some padding here. Let's do padding of 2. So we'll have some spacing. Yes, that's much better. And I think that's it. I will also add here that in case someone adds class names from the component above, I will add them here. So I'll do plus here. Oops, I cannot do plus because I need to do parentheses like this. I will add plus here, and I will do props class names, class name. And this is in case we want to add the class names from here. So I can add like class name, and let's say I will add a border red 500, or let's see, and now we have this border red 500. It works, but as you can see now we have this red thing here, and this is because we don't have it defined. We don't have it defined inside our input props. So let's add the class name, and it will be a string, but I will make it optional so it can be empty, and that's why I will add this question mark here. Right, I want to remove this red here, and now I think this looks fine. So we have input. Now I would like to center it a little bit, this input to be here in the middle. So I will put here a div with some class names, but let's first put this input inside. And for this input, I will put flex, and I will put justify center. Okay, and now it's centered. Maybe I will also add margin top of like 8, so it will have some spacing here. And yes, I think this looks fine. So now here we will put like $100, and underneath we will see the table with the best offers where to buy Bitcoin for $100, right? To make it a little better, I would like to add like here USD on the right side, so I can put USD here, and it will look a little bit better if I style it. But as you can see, we are starting to have like more stuff here, so I'll create yet another component just for input and those labels here. So let's go here, new file, and let's do, I will call this component amount input.tsx. So this will be an input, but only for the amount, specific for the amount. Let's do export default function, and let's call it amount input, the same as we call it from the file name. And here, as always, we will have some props, return. And for the return, we'll put the div, and let's put our input here, right? We need our input not from here, from up. All right. We want to grab the input and this US dollars. So let's cut it from here and let's put it inside amount input. I will put it here. And now let's see. Now, as you can see, for our props, we need basically the same props that we need for the input. So I can copy those input props from input file here to my amount input and put them here and call them amount input props and use them the same way here as we did here with colon input props. But there's a better way. We can do just export type input props and we can just reuse the same thing. So let's go to our amount input and let's say that our props here will be input props. And as you can see, now they have been imported from input component here. And yeah, it works. So now we can do like props amount and props set amount. And this should work. Let's see. Amount does not exist on input props. Yeah, that's correct, because here we should have instead the value and props on change. And that's why you should use Typescript, because it shows a lot of cool hints. All right, and it cannot go like this. Instead, we just need to put props on change directly here. All right, and this looks fine. And now we can reuse this amount input inside our app. So let's see here. Inside this div, we will put amount input. And now here we'll put amount, and on change we'll grab event. Let me put this into separate lines. And on change we'll do event set amount event target value. All right, and that's it. And now we have it here. So now I want to style this US dollars here. So let's go to, and we can remove this import input from the app. We don't need this anymore. Let's go to amount input, and we have this US dollars here, and we'll put this inside maybe a span. So let's put US dollars. Let's put some class names here so it will look better. I want this to be text white, yes, as it is now. So we don't need to put it actually. Or maybe let's do text white and let's do a 50% opacity. So something like this. Now let's do padding on the sides of 4. And yeah, I think this looks fine. So we have something like this. And this looks fine. But for the input, I would like to add a placeholder. So let's go to, yeah, to our amount input. And for this input, I would like to have a placeholder saying amount, something like this. So as you can see, it doesn't work. It says red here, something is wrong. And this is because placeholder is not defined inside input. So let's put it here, placeholder. It's an optional string. And let's use it here. Let's do placeholder will be from props placeholder. And default will be empty string. So now we have amount here. Let's go back to our amount input and we'll do amount with capital A. And yeah, this works fine. Now let me go back to our app.tsx and I'll put here a 0 as, or maybe not 0, let's do $100 as a default. And yeah, that looks fine. Let's go back to amount input and maybe it will be better to make it align to the right. So for this input, I want to align the number to the right. So as you can remember, I can add some class names here. So let's do text right. Yeah, and I think it looks better. Now, one thing I would like to change is I would like this US dollars to have the same kind of background color here. So I will put the background color on this div that is above here. So let's do background, I think it was blue 950. So we have now the same background here, and I want to have like a border for all of this. So let's do border white, and 10. Yeah, and now I don't want to have the border here between. So from the input, I want to remove the border. So I will do border 0. And yes, this looks better. Now the input can be much smaller. So I can do maybe like width and 12. Let's see. That's too small. Let's do 24. Yeah. And we don't need this text, right? I think. Let's see. Yeah. And this looks fine. For the input, we can also add, maybe change the padding left to something bigger, like 4. Yeah, and this looks fine. But now I would like this to be rounded a little bit, the whole thing. So let's go to the div here and let's do rounded medium. So we have this, let's do large. Yeah, so as you can see here, it's rounded, but here not so much, because the background color from the input is on the border of the div here above. And we can fix it either by saying on the div above overflow hidden, or we can remove the background color from the input. So we can make it here on the input, we can add background transparent. And as you can see, the effect is the same, and I can remove it. So we have this problem. I will add it so we don't have this problem. Yeah, so 2 different ways to solve this problem. All right, and now this looks fine. Maybe we could make it a little bit bigger. So to make it bigger, I will put for the input first text XL, maybe 2XL. Yeah, and as you can see now, this USD is not in the middle. It should be somewhere here and somewhere more to the top. So to fix it, let's see. To fix it, I will put flex on this parent and items center. So now USD is centered. All right, and this looks much better. And maybe I can just decrease the spacing here, but this is inside our app TSX. Here I will do maybe just 6 or maybe just 4. Yeah, I think maybe 6. All right, this looks fine. And now the next thing is underneath here, I would like to have a table with the result. So I put here $100 and it will show me the list of places where I can buy Bitcoins for $100, and it will sort this list by the best deal, or where I can buy the most amount of Bitcoins for this amount, right? So I would like to have it like as a lines 1, 2, 3, 4 or something like this. So here under this div for the amount input inside our app, I will put next div for result. So let's put here, let's put just a text result, and we should have it here. Yes, let's add some spacing. So let's do class name and let's do margin top of 6. Yes, and now I want to have some kind of rows here. So I will put, I'll create a component, something called like result row .tsx. Yes, and let's do export default function and result row, and we'll have some props here. we will add them later. First, I will do some styling for this row, right? So let's put a div. Let's put class names, and on the beginning, I will just put border here and minimum height of 12, something like this, and the test row inside. Now let's go back to app, and instead of this result, I will do result row like this, and we have our test row here, and this looks fine. Now I will go back to result row, and I want to style it a little better so it will look better. So for the, I will remove, or I can keep this minimum height. For the border, I want this border to be white, 10% opacity, so it's almost the same as we have on the input. All right, we have the border. I want the border to be rounded, so I will do rounded large. I will start wrapping the text here so everything will be visible, and because we will have much more classes here. And now even for the row, I want to have some kind of gradient here to make a cooler looking effect. You can do a simple background color if you want, background blue 500, or maybe, I don't know, 900 if you want. I will do gradients in this app to make it look a little bit cooler. So let's do background gradient, and I want this to be to, let's do to right, so from the left to the right, and it will go from purple 500, that will be 10% opacity. So as you can see now, it starts here, we have this barely visible purple color. It goes from 10% purple to transparency. On the right side, I will do 2 blue 500, also 10% opacity. So now we have something like this. All right, so I will also add some padding of 4. Yeah, so we have something like this. And let me add more rows. So I will do 2, 3, 4 of those. So now we have something like this. That looks much better, but we need to add some margins. I will do margin on the top and the bottom of, let's say 2, at least 2. Yeah, so we have something like this. This looks much better. So now for the content of our rows. On the left side, I would like to have a logo, then the name of the provider, and then on the right side, the amount of how much Bitcoins I will get there. And all of those will be links. So let's remove this test row, and first I will put a div that will be for the content of everything inside. And I will put flex here, so everything will be next to each other, or everything will be in the vertical line and not underneath because of the divs. So first I will put the logo. Let's put div and let's say logo here. And then we will have like source name, or let's call it provider name. So we have logo, provider name. We can maybe add some gap here of 4. So we'll have some spacing, yes. And then on the right side, I want to have an amount. So let's do div amount. But now we have amount here next to the provider name. To make it and go far to the right side, I will go here and I will say that provider name should grow. So it should take as much of the space as possible. All right, so we have all of this. And now let's maybe put, instead of amount, let's put like 0.001, something like this. And BTC, Bitcoin. All right, maybe we will put those separately so we will have more styling. So I'll put BTC here, and here I will have a span for this. So I will put it here. And now let's see, BTC, yes, that is fine. And let's put on this div that I want this to be flex, and I want to add a gap of at least 2. Right, this looks better. Now for those, I will put class name, and I want this text to be bigger, so let's do text XL maybe. And I want this to change the color. Let's do maybe something like purple, 280%. Yeah, something like this. And now for the Bitcoin label, let's do something like text XL, so it will match the size. And let's do text purple, purple, not 80%. Let's maybe do here 50% of the purple. Yeah, maybe a little bit darker. Yeah, this works fine. And this looks nice. I will change this to 0 here. Right, so now we have something like this. I think this looks fine. There's something more I would like to add, and it's a loading state. Because first, when we load our app, I would like all of the bars to be loading. So I will add a props here, props, and let's type it with Typescript, and let's call it result row props. And I'll put those this type here, type result row props equals, and now here I want to add loading, and loading will be boolean, right? And now here we have content. Under the content, let's do something like this. If props loading, and then let's do here parentheses and the div, and it will say loading. So now let's see, we have some kind of error. Here we should add end, right? And we don't see loading because none of the rows have loading, but we can add loading to true on the last one. And now we have this loading text. We can grab loading from properties like this, or there's also another way. We can use this destructor. You can use this curly brackets, and we can grab loading from here, and we can use it here, and the effect is the same. All right, so we have loading if it's loading, but I want to do something else. I want to add the class names here, and there will be no text inside this div. It will be only a color. So for the class names, I will make it let's do background red 500 for now, and let's do inset 0 and position absolute. Yeah, so now we take the whole screen, but I want to take the whole size of this row. So here I'll put relative. Yeah, that's better. And now what I want to do here is that when we have this loading, we will have this div that is above everything, and it will show like this skeleton animation that we have on all the places. So it will take a color or a gradient, and it will go from the left to the right, from the left to the right, indicating that it's loading. So instead of this color, I will do some kind of gradient. So I think I will do background gradient to right, and it will go from transparent, and then it will go via the middle color will be, let's say, blue 950%, and to transparent. Yeah, so now you can see that this last row has this maybe I can remove this 50%. It has this gradient of the blue color here above. I will put this 50% back, so it will be more like smooth. Here is more purple, and here we have this blue color. And it's barely visible now, but I will make it running from the left to the right, so it will look better. I want also to add here a class name called, let's maybe call it skeleton animation. And this is not a Tailwind class. This is a class that we are going to define inside our index CSS. So we will do a skeleton animation here. And we want to add animation, and then first the keyframes will be, we need to define keyframes first. So let's do here keyframes, and let's call them from left to right. And on the 0%, it will be translate and minus 100%. And at 100%, it will be translate 100%. Now animation from left to right and 2 seconds infinite. And now let's see. As you can see, now it's running from the left to right. We are getting those scroll bars, but this is because we need to add the overflow hidden on the parent here, on the parent of our loading div. So here I will add overflow hidden. Okay, now we don't have any scroll bars here, but we see this animation on this row. I can change it to red so it will be more visible. Yeah, this red color is also cool, right? I will change back to blue, maybe 700, and that's too bright. I will do 800. You can play with colors if you want to make it more unique. Same with the logo and those colors to make it look better. Now let's go back to app and let's disable this loading. Right, so I think we are done with the basic structure of our app. Now what I'm going to do is I will write a backend code. Let's do backend. And for the backend, I used to install Next.js, but today we are going to use something simpler. We are going to use aircode.io, and they are doing backend code. They are providing backend infrastructure for apps. So if you have a simple app and you need just a simple backend for it, instead of having a Next.js app with all the deployments, GitHub code and stuff like this, and you can just use aircode. It's much simpler. You just create a new app, and let's call it maybe the same way we call it here, coins table. So let's do coins table. And let's hit create. I will use the latest Next.js 18, Typescript ES, and let's create it. So the good thing, the awesome thing about this, that you just create an app and you have just a working API. Here we have some backend code. As you can see, every file has a default function, and we are just exporting this, and it just return a JSON for us. So let me show you how it works. I can just hit deploy. Yeah, let's deploy everything. And after it's deployed, here we will get a link, and this link we can use for our React app, and it will run this backend code for us. So this is super simple, no configuration, nothing. We just copy this, and as you can see, it will run this as a backend function, and the result will be message hi aircode. Let's see, hi aircode. Yes, it works. We can change it to something else. And instead of deploying this all the time, we can also hit debug here, so we will see the response here instead. before we will deploy it. Okay, so now we need to have some kind of backend. So for our app here, the backend functionality we will need is I want to have 4 providers, 4 different websites where you can buy Bitcoins, and I want to check how much Bitcoins we can get from each provider with $100 or wherever we put here. So let's go back here. I will make it a little bigger because now we will do some coding here inside. We can have params here and context, but we will use only params. You can also do console logs and you see everything here. And if it's deployed, you can see here inside logs. So that they have everything you need. All right. So I will close this because we don't need this. And I'll close this tailwind. So we need 4 providers, right? I found these providers before. The first will be Paybis. And here, as you can see, I can change the amount to, let's do US dollars and credit card. And if I put here 50, it will say we can buy this amount of Bitcoins with $50. I will open my console here, browser console, and network tab. And now let's see, if I put 100 here, as you can see, the browser, I'll make it bigger. The browser is doing a request. Let's see, it's doing the request to Paybis API. With this URL, those params here, as you can see, 100 that we typed here. And this comes from the response. So here is the response, and you can see that this 365213 is somewhere here. So we are going to do the same request, but from our API, from our backend here. So maybe I'll create a separate file for this, and we will call this providers.typescript.ts. I don't need any default function here. I will do a function called function, and let's call this function get offer from Paybis, yes. And the param here will be amount, and it will be a number. All right. And then we need Axios to do a request, right? So let's here, you can install dependencies. I want to install Axios, and now it's installing, and now it's installed. So I can do just Axios. I need to import it first. So let's do import Axios from Axios. All right. So now we can do a request, and a request that we need is post. So let's go here, post, and now we need the URL. So this is our URL. Let's put it to our backend here. And we need also a payload. I'll make it maybe a little bigger here. And I'll put this like on the full width. I'll make it this a little bit smaller. All right, and the payload here will be an object. The JSON we are sending is here inside payload. We can format it this way, and I can select it like this, and I would just put it instead of this object. All right, I will make it, I will add some enters so it will be easier to read and easier to follow. Let's see, colon here. Let's add enter here, enter there. So it will be more readable. All right. So now I just copy pasted everything from the request payload, and I just added some enters so it will be easier to read. As you can see in the payload, we are sending amount of 100. And I think that instead of this 100, we can just put amount here, amount to string. So we are grabbing this amount param and we just convert this to string and we send it with this request. This is Axios request, so we need to add a wait here and async here because now it's an async function. And let's grab the response like this. Response equals this. And yeah, this looks fine. And in case it fails, I will do try catch. I'll put this inside this try. Yeah, let's do some formatting here. Yeah, and the response here, try, let's do catch. If we get any error, please don't die our app. Instead, I want to just log my error and I want to return nothing. But if everything is fine, we have this response, and with this response, we want to return only the amount of Bitcoins. Here on the response, as you can see, we get a lot of information, but I want only this number. So let's see, inside the preview, we can toggle the response stub, and inside here we have payment options, 0, and then we have, let's see, let's find this. I think it's here. Yeah, amount to and amount, and we have this 365, and now it refreshed, so we can see it here because the price of the Bitcoin changes every time, almost every minute. So let's do here amount to, and we have it. So we need to go the same path from the response. We need to go payment methods. So let's copy this. I would do return here, and let's do response.data.payment methods. I will add question marks just in case something doesn't work. Payment methods. Then we need to go to 0, the first payment method. So let's put 0 here. And then we need to go to amount to, and then amount to, and then amount is amount to with, amount to, and then amount. So now let's see if this function will actually work here inside our hello. Maybe we can rename this function to offers. So we have offers, and now let's try to use this function that we created from the providers. This function was called get offer. We cannot use it here, and this is because we need to export it first. So let's do export async function, and then inside offers, let's do get offer from Paybase, and here we will put $100. And const BTC equals this, await, and this looks fine. Yeah, we need to type it a little better. The response here would be better to do promise that returns, let's see, it returns this amount. So it can be number or string. Let's convert it to string. So we are sure it's always a string, or yeah, it's a string. But now this empty return, if something fails, doesn't match this promise string. So I would do here void, just in case something breaks, the promise will be with empty result. Now let's go to offers, and let's see. We are using this function. We should grab it, and let's just return this BTC, and let's see if this will work. So now I would just hit here debug to see the result of this function, offers. And yeah, we can see message 0.0036, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it works. So now what I want to do here inside the providers, I will add more providers, 3 more providers, because we need to have something to choose from here, right? So I'm going to add the 3 providers, and those providers are, I can close this Paybase because this one is done. The other one is Guardian. And then we have also MoonPay, and the third is the transact.com. Yeah, so let's go to Guardian, and here we have the same interface. I will just open inspect here, and we will do the same thing. I will change to US dollars and clear everything. Let's change to $100. And we get here estimate request, and we're just going to reuse the API they are using. I'm going to copy this. This time we have a get request, so this is important. Here, let's add another provider. Let's do export async function. Maybe I can just copy paste it. Let's copy this. Or maybe not. This is, there will be too many to change, too many things. Export async function, get offer from Guardian, amount number, and it returns a promise with a string or void. And now we will do try catch here. We will first try, and then if we catch any error, we are going to do console error with this error, and we will return nothing. But here inside this try, we are going to do Axios get, and I will put backticks here so it will be easier to put variables inside. Whoops, this is not what I wanted to copy. I want to copy this URL here, and I want to put it here. Right, so now the amount is here. So I'm going to put our amount here, and that should be it. Let's see it for our request here. Yeah, it looks fine. Request headers. They have, I don't know if you can see it, they have API key here, X API key, and we should include it to our, probably include it to our request. So first we have this URL here, and then I will put the next param here will be options. And for the options, I will put headers, and for the headers, I'll put X API key, key. And let's put this API key so we can fake the same request they are doing. And this looks fine. Now we need to add a wait here, and const response equals this. Right, and now we have the response. So now let's see where in the response we get the amount. So the amount we are getting here, value. So we just need to do that value. Let's go back here and let's do return, response, data. We need to always do data because this is the way Axios work. And we need to go to data to grab the JSON. And now let's see, it was value. Yeah, and this should work. Maybe we can add also here to string, just to be sure that it returns string and not something else. All right, so now we have two providers. We have Paybase and we have Guardian. So I think maybe we can do a third function that will, maybe let's do all the providers first. So we need also MoonPay and we need Transact. Let's do export async function as async function, get offer from MoonPay, amount that is number, and it will return promise with a string or void, and then Then we need a try catch here in case something fails. If something fails, we are going to catch it and we are going to do console error with this error that we have catched. And if it fails, we'll just return nothing here, void. All right, and I think I will just copy this and I will do for MoonPay, we need for also transac. Let's do transac. Is it spelled like this? Transac? Yes. All right, so now let's fix those two. Let's go first to MoonPay and inspect, buy Bitcoins from US dollars. Let's go to network. Let's change this to 100. And we have this buy quote here. And let's see. Headers. Here we have the URL, and as you can see, it's a GET request. So let's go back here. MoonPay. Let's do Axios GET. And it's a GET request. So I would do backticks here. So we can edit this. So we can put variables here inside. Here we have the amount. I don't know if you can see it, but I will remove this 100 and I will put a variable here from our param. So this will go here. All right. So now we have it. Let's put it into const response equals await. All right. And now let's see. Let's see inside preview or response. Let's see where we can find this number here. Converted amount, no. Service fees, network fees, here, value. Oh, no, it's Guardian. I think we are done already with Guardian, aren't we? Yeah, we are done with Guardian. I can close Guardian. And we are doing here, MoonPay. So let's see where we can find this number. So I think it's inside here. Quote currency amount. So let's copy this. Let's go back here. And for the MoonPay, we are having response here. Whoops. And I need to put new line. And with the response, we want to do return response data and quote currency amount. All right. So we have now 3 of 4. Now let's do this one, transac. Let's hit buy sell crypto and let's open here the console network. I'll make it a little bit smaller so we can see more. Let's change this to US dollars and let's change to $100. And we have this quotes and request here. And we don't want Ethereum. We want to have Bitcoins here. Right. And now let's see. Let's make this bigger. We have headers here and it's a GET request. So let's go here and here for the transact, let's do Axios GET. I would do backticks here. So it will be easier to put variables inside. Let's see, where do we put the amount, fiat amount? Here, let's put amount, oops, variable like this, amount. Yeah, this should work. Now we get the, no, we don't get the response. Let's do response equals this, await, and let's do return response and response data. And from the response data, what do we want to grab? Let's see. They have response object that we need to add. So let's add here first. Whoops, first would be response. And then let's see, response, and inside the response, we want to have this amount. Let's find it somewhere. I think it's this one, crypto amount, 448, yes. So let's copy this and let's go back here and let's put crypto amount. And now I think we have everything, all of the 4 providers. So now let's go back to offers. We did this message and amount of Bitcoins from Paybase. Let's do the same for, let's see, I will put here, the name will be pay this, and here I will do moon pay, and I will do await get offer from MoonPay, $100, and we also need Guardian equals await get offer from Guardian, $100, and the fourth was transact. Const transact equals await get offer from transact, $100. Yes, and now let's just display everything. Pay this, and Guardian, and MoonPay, and transact. Yes. Now let's hit debug to see if this works, if all of the 4 providers work. And yeah, as you can see, everything works, but for the first 2 we are having strings, and for those 2 we have numbers. I want to have strings for everything because this is what we declare here. So let's do to string, and let's do here to string because we forgot about it. All right, so now the cool thing here is that we can just deploy everything, deploy, and when it's deployed, we will get a URL here that when we open it, we will get this. We will get this, and that a JSON that will return how much Bitcoins we can buy inside the websites for all of those providers. As you can see now, here is the URL because now it's deployed, and now we are using 100 everywhere, but it would be better to use params here. We have params here that we can use to debug. The params are actually the query params, so this is how you use it. Let's declare our param here, and let's call it maybe amount, and let's say that our amount will be 100 here for debugging for now. And instead of those 100, I will do params amount, or maybe we can just grab const amount from params. And now I can just use this amount instead of those hundreds. So let's remove this dot, amount here, and amount here. I will redeploy everything, and let's see if it works. So now it's deployed. I will copy this URL for our offers function. I'll put it here, and we need to put amount as a param here, and let's put 100. And now we get a JSON result of our backend code here. And this is the URL we are going to use inside our React app. And this is the backend code that will show the stuff we need. So super simple. Now let's also maybe test with 200. So if we change to 200, it should go 6 or 7 here. So everything should be doubled here. And as you can see, it is. So everything works fine. Let's go back to the backend code, and let's fix it a little bit. So I want to have like a one function, and inside this one function, I will get offers from all of the 4 providers. So let's go to providers. Let's scroll to the bottom, and I will export an async function and get all offers, something like this. And here we will also have amount param that will be a number, and it will return a promise. But our promise will be different. It will have many different offers. It should return something like this. So I can go back actually to offers. I can grab all of this. I will cut it from here. I'll put it here inside providers, inside get all offers. And I will do return. And I want to return all of those as we had before. So let's do Paybase, Guardian, MoonPay, and Transact. Yeah, so we have the result will look like this, but all of those will be strings. So I can say here, the promise will return an object. I can do object, but maybe a better way to do this would be, it will not be any object, but I will make a prettier type of this. Let's say I will declare a type called results, and this results will be an object where the keys will be a string and the values will be strings as well. So here will be promise, and the promise returns results. And now it says something is wrong. Let's see what. Results, type results. I have misspelled something. No, now it's fine. All right. So this looks fine. And now I can just use this function, get all offers, inside my offers. So I can do just a return here, and I can do get all offers for amount of amount. Yeah. And yeah, just like this. And we don't need those specific functions imported anymore. So yeah, this works. We just moved the code to this get all offers, but we can make it run faster. And to run it faster, as you can see, the problem here is that first we are grabbing the value for Paybis. We are waiting for the value from Paybis. Then we are doing the same for Gradient. The value for Gradient will be await for this. So we are doing one at a time. This, then this, then this, then this. And then we are returning all of the four. And we can, JavaScript is asynchronous nowadays. So we can run all of those four at the same time. We can wait for all of those to complete, and then we can return the results. So to do this, I will use something called promise.all, and I will wait for all of those promises. So first we will have get offer from Guardian. No, let's go from Paybis. And I'm not putting await here, and here should be an array. I almost forgot. This is an array of promises and amount here. Then we'll have get from Guardian with amount, and this will be an array of promises here, as you can see, all of four. Get offer from MoonPay with amount, and get offer from Transact with this amount. Yeah, and we don't need those for anymore. And now if we add a wait here, and we will add const array, and the array here, the result will be inside this brackets. We will put just the same order as we have with those promises. So let's do pay bis, and then Guardian, and then MoonPay, and then Transact. Yeah, and now we have changed everything. That what it does, it runs those four promises at the same time. So this starts and this at the same time, and then when all of those four are complete, we are getting the values for those constants, and then they are returned here. All right, so now let's go back to offers, and we have this get all offers. So let's try to not to redeploy. We can just hit debug here, maybe with $150. Why not? Let's hit debug, and we have an error. Let's see what's wrong here. And string void is not assignable to string. So let's see. Let's go back to providers, And let's see what kind of error we have here. This should return results like this. String is the key and string is the value. But the values that we have here can be also void or empty. So we cannot put it like this as an object, because we don't want to return empty values. We want to return only object of results that worked. So in case we will not get a result from Guardian, we don't want to return it. We don't want to return void for this. So let's do const results equals empty object for now, and this, let's type it with results. And now let's do something like this, return results. And first here we will check for each value. So let's do if we have a pay bis value, and it's okay, so it's not undefined. That's why I'm doing this. It's not void, so that's why I'm doing this if here. Let's do results, and let's do pay bis equals pay bis. Yes. And now we need to do the same thing with all of those 4. So let's do now Guardian results Guardian equals Guardian, yes. And the third is MoonPay. So let's do if MoonPay, so it's not empty or void. Let's do results MoonPay equals MoonPay. And the last one, if transact, and then results, then we are adding transact to our results. Transact equals transact. Yes. And now let's see. I will try to, let's go to offers and let's try to debug one. Let's debug it once again. And let's see if we will get an error. No, everything works. As you can see here on our request, we are getting all of those 4 and it works. So let's hit deploy here. So this will be refreshed and it will work again with much simpler code. So now we can use this URL to our React app, and we can display like for this Guardian you get this much, for I don't know, MoonPay you get this much, and stuff like this. But I would like to add more functionality for this. I want to add a cache. So like every 6 hours we are going to grab it from, we are grabbing the offers and we are sending from to the database. So it will be cached and it will be a little bit faster. So let's say that when you open the app, it will not send this 100 amount to our API, and then it will go to all of those providers and it will ask $100 here, $100 here, how much can I get Bitcoins? Instead, we are going to cache it first and save it to the database. And the cool thing about Aircode, they have a database that is NoSQL database, so we can super simply save cached values to our database. So when we load our app, we will first go to the cached values that we will have inside database. Instead of asking all the times, we first going to use the cached values. So let's do this. To do this, we need to first create a function that will do this, and that will grab the values, get all offers, and will save it to the database. So let's create a function, a file called the cache. Yes, and here we have a simple function here. And what do we need to do here? We want to first grab all of the offers. So let's do const offers equals await and get all offers. And let's say that amount here that we are going to cache will be $100. All right, and we get the offers, and this object, as you remember, it looks like this. And now we want to save it to the database. But before we will do this, I want to change it that we will have an array of labels, an array of objects, sorry. So we will have an array, and for each item inside this array, we will have one row, and each row will have like provider, paybase, and then bitcoins and this value. So let's do something like this. I want to grab first all of those labels as an array. So I will do object keys of offers, and then I will map through it. And when I map through it, I will do provider as the label name. And then what do I want to do? I want to return an object, and let's say that here I need to add the const offers data. I will name it offers data. And this object will be provider. Provider will be provider, so I can do like this. And then I will do BTC, and then I want to have the values here. So let's go to offers of the key of provider. Yeah. Now let's see how this offers data looks like. Inside offers, as you remember, we had this, and I want to change it so we can save it to the database. We have now only files table here, or files collection. Let's do console log, and I will do console log offers data. Yeah. Now I will hit debug here. And here in the console, we can see how it looks like. So we get an array that says for each item we have provider and BTC, provider, BTC, provider, BTC. And this is what I want to save to my database. So now let me show you how simple it is to save stuff to the database here. So the only thing that we are going to need is, here we are importing error code library. I will just grab the database. I don't need anything else here. And from here, I will do database.table. And let's call this collection cached offers. And then we want to save. And we just want to save this offers data, and that's it. We just need to add a wait here. We don't need this console log, and this message higher code, let's change it to just okay, so we know it works. Right, now let's deploy everything. Let's hit deploy. So this cache function will be deployed. And now let me show you how simple it is to add a cron job here. A cron job is something that runs this function at a specific time or at the specific intervals. So let's say I want to run this function every 6 hours. And now I can also show you the database. If I hit debug here, it will save to the database, so we'll know it works. It says message okay, and inside database we get cached offers, and as you can see we get a provider and then bitcoins here, and so we see the values. So that is really nice. Now as you can see, we get also IDs for all of the rows, and we get also created add. So we get timestamps when those values has been valid, or when we fetched those values. So this is really helpful. As you remember on my other tutorials, when we use Mongoose, we need to define this as options to use timestamps. Here we get it as default, so that is nice. And now I want to show you how easy it is to do a cron job from this function. Usually, if you want to do a cron job on a Next.js app where you have your code on GitHub and then you deploy with Vercel, you need to add a cron job on either Vercel or you need to add a cron job on GitHub Actions. And here you just go to schedules, create a schedule job, and name will be just cache. Let's start from now. And the function will be cache Typescript, and the repeat. Let's repeat every hour, repeat type hour, and let's run it every 6 hours or every 12 hours, or you can run it every day. You can pick it yourself. How often do you want to refresh it? End time, no end time. It will run forever, every day. And now let's hit add. And that's it. We have our scheduled function or a cron job. And this will run for me every day. So every day I will get 4 more lines here in my database with the latest values here. So for now I get only 4 lines because I run it myself, but for each day I will get 4 more lines. And then for our React app, we are just going to grab the latest values. So not the values that I have now, but maybe the next day we will get 4 more lines, and then we want to grab the latest for Guardian, MoonPay, Transact, and Paybis. So we are going to check that it's the latest by checking the created at. So now I want to use a function here, a file function that will return the results from the database. We have here a function that checks the offers and returns the latest offers in this second from all of the providers. We have a function that caches this data and puts in the database. And now we want to have a function that will return a cached data. So I will call it maybe cached data or maybe cached values. Yes. And now here we will also need a database. So let's grab database, and now we want to select all of those latest values from this cached offers table. So how do we do this? We need to do this for providers. So let's do const providers equals, and we have it was Guardian, we have MoonPay, we have Transact, and we have Paybis. Yes, and now for all those 4, we need to grab the latest row. For now we have only 1, but later we can have more lines for each provider, right? Let's say after 3 days we will have 3 lines with Guardian and different values, and we want to grab the latest with the biggest created at, so the latest one. So to grab the latest one for the, let's say, Guardian, we will do something like this. We will do db table and cached offers, and then we want to do where let's see, where provider is Guardian. Let's put this into a separate line. We want to sort it by, let's put an object here, created at -1, so it will be descending. If you put it like this, it will be ascending, so the smallest value of created at. Now it will be descending, and now we will just do find 1. Yeah, and let's do a wait here. Let's do const response, and let's see, I will put response here. And now let's go to debug, and let's see if cache values works. I will hit debug. We don't need any params here, and the only thing that's important is only the response here from the database. So let's see, and inside the response we get let's see, message, and the response, yeah, we have ID, provider, and BTC, and updated add and created add. Everything works. I don't need this message. I just need this object. All right, so we have this, and now we need to do the same thing for other three providers. So I will put this as a small function here above. So let's do function get for provider, or maybe just get cached for provider, and here provider name, and it's an async function, and I'll put this here, and we can do just return here. All right, and we need to use this provider name instead of guardian, so let's do provider name. And now let's see, is it the same? Yes, it's the same. It's the same, but it says yeah, we should use TypeScript here, and the provider name shouldn't be any type, so let's define that it's type of string. All right, and let's also maybe define what is the response here. The response is a promise, and the promise will return some kind of object with the data for this record, for this row, right? Right, so we have this, and now we can reuse this function. So we can grab like this, guardian equals get await, get a cache for provider, and provider here is guardian, but we have the array of all of those providers here, so we can just loop through them, right? Or we can just use it. So let's do get cached for provider, and let's do providers of 0, so the first provider, and let's run all of those promises at the same time, so it will be faster. Let's do promise all, and let's put an array here, and let's put this first, second, third, fourth, of first, of second, of third. So we will get for each provider. And now let's do here await, and let's do const results equals this. And here let's just return results. That's it. And now let's see if I hit debug. We don't need anything, any params here. So inside response, let's see what do we have. I'll make it a little bit bigger. We get an array here of 4 objects: for Paybis, for Transact, for MoonPay, and for Guardian. And we have Bitcoin values here. So that is really nice. So if I hit deploy now, we can use this cached values URL for our app here. So now it's deploying. It takes just a few seconds and it's deployed. So it's much faster than deploying something to Vercel and with Next.js, because if you deploy something to your Next.js app, you need to commit, push to GitHub, then it's deploying on Vercel. Here you just click deploy and it's deployed. So this is a really fast way of creating simple APIs and simple backends. So here we have our URL, cache values, and I can just open new tab and I can just open this URL here. And as you can see, here is the result. We are getting the JSON response. I can probably just close all of those MoonPay, Transact, and other stuff. So here's the URL we are going to use for our React app. So let's now go back to our React app. We are on the main component, app component. And now what I want to do, I want to fetch those values and show them here. When our app loads for the first time, I want to show those values. Guardian this, MoonPay this, I want to show it here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. So we need to use effect for this. So we will run this function when with empty parentheses. So when this loads, we will run, I want to run Axios. So let's go here and let's do yarn add Axios. And now for our, now we can use Axios here. So let's do Axios. Let's import Axios from Axios, and we just need to do a GET request to this URL. And let's do that then. And then we will get response. Let's do arrow function here. I'll make, let's maybe put this into separate line. Yes. And let's do like this. Right, and with the response data, inside response data, we are having this. So I want to save it inside state. So let's do const, and let's do cached and set cached. And default will be empty, empty array here. Maybe let's rename it to cached results and set cached results. All right, and now, let's see, let's just do set cached results to cached results. All right. And no, not like this, sorry. Set cached results to response data, and that's it. And this should work. Now we can use cached results and this is the data that we have inside. So we can put it inside our rows, right? So we want to pass information for each row. We want to say what is the provider and how many Bitcoins we are getting, right? So let's maybe display only one, or maybe let's remove all of those. And maybe before we will display the data, let's show some kind of preloader, right? So if nothing is here, I want, if nothing is loaded yet from the Axios, I want those four to spin. So let's do something like this. I will add state is loading, const is loading, or maybe just loading, and set loading, use state, default will be true. So on the beginning it's loading, and let's here check if loading. Let's do end parenthesis. Let's now put all of those four, and I need to put React fragment here, and those four rows, and loading to true, and I want to have 4 of loading rows. Yeah. So let's see if I refresh. All of those four are loading, and I don't want to show the provider and name and stuff like this. But this will be, let's fix it later. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, let's fix it now. Inside result row, as you remember, we'll get provider name. That will be a string, optional, and we'll have Bitcoins. That will be string as well. And now let's grab it from the props here. So let's do provider name and Bitcoins. Maybe I will put it as a separate line here, so it will be easier to read. Yeah, something like this. And now we have loading, we have provider name. Let's use this provider name here instead of provider name. Let's do provider name, otherwise empty string. And let's see, here we have the values. So if we have Bitcoin values, and let's do parentheses, and then we do this. So if it's empty, it's empty. Now for the logo, we need to also have a provider. So let's check if we have a provider name. Let's do end parentheses and the logo. Logo, we'll fix the logo in a second. And now those are much smaller, and I would like to make them bigger, so, or wider. So maybe let's change this to 24. Let's see if it changes anything. No, it doesn't. Let's do 48. No, 128. No, nothing changes. I will remove this min height. It doesn't do anything. And maybe I would just put an empty div with a letter, but or maybe not even a letter. Let's just put a class name of min of a height of 24. Whoops, and that is really big. Let's do 12. Let's do 6. Yeah, I think that's big enough. Or maybe we can change the size here to 6, and it will. Yeah, that's too small. Let's do height of 12. Yeah, I don't know, maybe 18. No, we don't have 18. Let's do 24. That's too much. We can do something like this. Height of, let's do 64 pixels. Yeah, I think this looks nice. So it's the min height of 64 pixels. This looks cool, and all of the data is displayed only if we have it. Yeah, and now we can probably pass these providers and Bitcoin values. So let's go back to app. And now, as you can see, it's loading. This is true, and this is never changed. So after we set this data, we should do set loading to false because it's loaded. And now, as you can see, we don't see anything because it's not loading. So we need to add if not loading. Let's do end parentheses, and now we want to display the values from cached results. So instead of doing just parentheses, let's do cached results, and let's map through them. And for each result, we will do something like this. We will do a result row, and we are going to pass provider name to be from the result. And let's see how it's the name. It's provider. So let's do just result.provider. Actually, we can type it. So let's see. Here we have some problems with Typescript. It's complaining. Provider name. Let's see how it's provider name declared here. Provider name, it should be a string, and here this can be anything, so we need to type it. So let's do type cached result equals, and it will be we will have provider that is a string, and we have BTC that is also a string. And we can say that cached results is, let's say here we'll have an array of cached results, right? And now is it still complaining? Yes, let's see why. Type false or void is not assignable to type React node. Okay, now I know, because we don't have, we should use parentheses here, not curly brackets. Let's remove it. I will cut it from here, and let's put parentheses here. Yeah, and now that's much better. And let's see how it looks like. We have our Guardian main page transact pages. Let's now also, let's put this here. Let's put Bitcoin values, and let's do result and BTC. And let's see, it doesn't work. Let's see here inside. We need to change those zeros to BTC, so we can have something like this, but we can also format this a little bit better, right? To have the same amount of zeros, for example. So to do this, I will do something like this. Let's put this into separate line. And instead of displaying like this, I will change this to new intl and number format. And I want to format using Swedish formatting. You can change to your country. And here I will do format and I will do BTC. So, let's see. Yes, this works fine. Let's see why it's complaining. It should be number or big int. So we need to, this is string. So we need to do parse float of Bitcoin. So that's why, again, it's good to use Typescript. All right, so as you can see, now we have values, but all of those are rounded. That's why I added those params here that we are going to use. And we are going to use minimum fraction digits to 8 and maximum fraction digits to, now we don't need maximum. Let's do only minimum. Yeah, and now we have different values, and now it's better, right? So we don't have logo, but we have the values and it looks fine. All of those should be links, and we need to fix the logos, and we need to sort them as well. So, and then we will also do that when you change something here, it will fetch the latest values for this amount, but one step at a time. So first, let's sort them. So let's go to our app.tsx, and we have those cache values, but those are not sorted. So to sort them, we can do like double sorting algorithm here, but I'm lazy and I prefer just to use Lodash. So let's do yarn add Lodash, and now it's added. And with the Lodash, I can just use a Lodash function called sort by. I need to import it. Let's see, is the Lodash added? Yes. So let's do import sort by from Lodash. Yes, and now I want to use this sort by here, sort by cached results, and I want to sort it by BTC. So now let's see if I refresh. Now it's sorted 352, 357, 364, 365. So now it's sorted, but this is the lowest value and this is the highest value. I want to do reverse. So I will do that and reverse. And now let's see. Yeah, now the highest value is here, 365, 352. So currently we get the most amount of Bitcoins from Guardian. Right. Now it complains about this. Result is any. I want to put it that it's a type of, let's see, it's a type of cached result. So let's put here colon cached result. And now we get some wrapping here going on. So I think I will just put this as a separate constant. Sorted cache. I will call it sorted cache. And here let's do sorted cache equals this. And it's a constant. Yeah. So it's easier to follow the code. All right. And this looks fine. And this works. Now we need logos. And after we get the logos, we can do that. When we change this, it will fetch the latest results using offers function. All right. So let's first grab the logos. We need the logos for Guardian, Paybase, and Transact and MoonPay. So let's do first maybe Paybase. Let's go to paybase.com. Let's inspect here. Let's see what do they got. It's an SVG with some weird import. I think it would be easier to do Paybase logo PNG. Yeah, here we have it. I will hit download. And now we have it here. I'm going to put it inside source assets. We have a React logo here. I will put as well Paybase logo. So Let me grab it. Let me put it here. Yeah, we have Paybase logo. It's here. If I open it, it's an SVG. Here is React, here is Paybase. I will rename it to just paybase.pdf. Okay, this logo is in PDF. That's really weird, but that's fine. We can live with it. Let's try to display it. Let's go to, let's see, our raw result. And let's see. Here we have a place for logo. And how can we display logo? Let's do here source links to our logos. So to do logos, let's do cons logos URLs equals. And then for Paybase, the URL will be /assets/ and then paybase.pdf. First, maybe let's try if this will work. So I will put, where were the logos? I think they were here. Let's put EMG and the source will be this. And let's see. No, it looks like it does work. But I will add some class names here just to be sure. Width of 6 and height of 6. And no, it doesn't work because it's PDF. Let's do PDF to PNG. And I will just quickly convert it. Let's drop it here and download. And now I will just put it here inside again. I will delete the old PDF version. Let's do delete. And for this one, let's just rename it to Paybase. Okay. Result row, assets, paybase.png. Let's see if this works. No, it does not. Let's see. Inspect. Let's see what's wrong. Assets, paybase, png. This is probably because we shouldn't use URLs like this. Instead, let's import it like this. Import Paybase logo from assets and Paybase PNG. And now instead of doing source like this, I will do Paybase logo. Now let's see. And now we have this Paybase here. I don't like that we have this white background. So I don't know if we got it from this PDF, or maybe we should try to convert it with something else. We probably got it from the PDF. So let's do Paybase logo PNG, and let's try again. Let's try with different one. Maybe this one. Yeah, I would just copy this. Yeah, this one is much better. So I'm going to use this one instead. Yes, this one doesn't have any background color. So I will remove the old one. Let's do delete on the old one. And this one, I will just rename it to something easier. Paybase WebP. And then here we need to do, we need to do WebP because it's different format. Right, and now let's do Paybase logo and let's see if this works. Yeah, it kind of works. We just need to change the width to something else and height to something else. Let's do maybe height of 6 and let's see. Yeah, this looks better. And we need to revert the colors here. So I would like this logo to be dark. But there is another way of doing this. For the Paybase logo, I can do something like this. For the class names or for the style, I can add styling here. Or maybe let's see if I can do filter invert. I don't know if Tailwind has it. No, Tailwind invert colors. Yes, it's just invert. So let's do invert And let's remove this style because we don't need this. And let's see, and it's white. So that's good. For the logos, I will put here, we have logos. For Paybis, we will have the source to be Paybis logo and invert to true. And now I want to have all others. So we need also Guardian. So let's grab Guardian. I think it will be much easier than the Paybis. Let's see. They have just the URL we can use. Here it's blue, but maybe if we remove the dark, yeah, then it's whitish. So Guardian equals source to be this. We don't need an invert. Then we need also, what were the others? Let's see, here inside the providers, Guardian, MoonPay, and Transact. MoonPay and Transact. Let's go to our here, MoonPay, and Transact with K, right? And for each of those, we'll need source, and now let's go to MoonPay. Let's grab the logo from here, inspect, and let's see. Yeah, this one looks fine. Logo white. This will be easy. MoonPay here. And now let's do Transact. And they have a blue logo. I want to have like Transact white logo. Let's see here. So I will copy this one from the footer. Let's see. Yeah, I will just use this URL and source Transact, and now it's fine. Let's copy, paste, and let's see if this will work. We have logos URLs, or maybe let's just call it logos because we have source and invert on one of those. Right, here we have image for a specific row. And instead of just Paybis logo, we are going to use logos of provider name and then dot, and I think it was source. Yes. Now let's see. Yeah, now we have different logos, but all of those are inverted here, as you can see. And I want to do inverted only here if this has invert. So let's do parenthesis logos of provider name if it's invert. Like this, I will add a question mark here just in case. And if it's invert, I will add invert here, otherwise empty string. I'll put this maybe here on a separate line so it will be easier to read. This thing here. Add spaces, and let's see, we have some errors here. It's screaming red. It's TypeScript errors. Let's see. So we need to add some typing on the logos. And the logos is an array of, it's an object. So it's the object where the keys are strings and the values are object. But each object is not any object. So let's define type of logo with capital L, logo object, or maybe just logo. Yeah, and for each logo we have a source that is a string or any. And I don't know what is this type, Paybis logo, but maybe it's just a string. So let's do just a string. And then we have optional invert question mark colon boolean. Okay, and now here we can put logo, right? And now let's see, yeah, it solved the situation. Let's fix this formatting here so it will be easier to read. And logos are is an object. As you can see, it starts here and ends here, where the keys are strings and the values are logos. And a specific logo has a source always, so that's why it's colon. Source, that is a string, and invert, that is optional with question mark, that is a boolean, because we have invert only here. Right, and as you can see, it works. It works fine. It has different sizings, but that's because we need to do the same size here. So let's maybe do the same width of 24, and that's better. But now I want to remove the provider name that we have here. We don't need it. And I will add grow on this div here. Class name grow, and I need also items center and flex, so the logos will be in the middle. Now they are, and I can make it a little bigger, 36, no, 36. Let's see. Yes, let's maybe do height of 12. That's too big. Let's do maybe height of 8. Let's see. I think that that is good. The logos have different sizings, and here, for example, we have a lot of spacing and stuff, but you can fix it yourself. You can find better logos. For example, for this Guardian, this logo is huge, and for others, it's the other logos are smaller and don't have a lot of spacing here. So maybe I would just fix the Guardian logo. No, I will not fix because we grab it from the source here. Guardian, it's an SVG, yeah. All right, but first, now the last thing that we have is that when I type here something 200, I want this list to refresh. And first it should load, and then when I get the result, it should show the latest results, right? And we have also some errors here. Let's see. Sort by from Lodash. It looks like Lodash is not installed. Let's see why. No, it is. Yarn add Lodash. Let's install it again. Some kind of bug here. But it works. I don't know why it's blaming here on the Lodash. It works. Now I want to fix that when you type something here, it will fetch results again. So let's do something like this. Let's add a use effect, arrow function here, empty for now, and dependencies we will put amount. And here I will just put console log, search for, and then let's put amount, not search for, and check for amount. And let's put inspect here, console, let's open console. We get some errors here, maybe we can fix them. And we have key, we are missing keys here. Let's see, yeah, we don't have any key, let's add it. Result._id. We get this ID from the database. Let's maybe let's use just here provider name, result.provider name. Right, so we don't have the errors. All right, but here, now let's clear everything. If I change to 200, as you can see, we have console log check for 2, check for 20, check for 200. But one thing is that I don't want to call API for every keystroke. I want to call it when we are done typing. So there is a hook that we can install. And it's something like use the bounced effect. Use the bounce effect is, let's see. This one is much more popular. So I'm going to use the bounce effect hook, this one. And let's see, yeah, it's super simple. You just import it and you just run it this way. Function, dependencies, and then delay. So use the bounced effect hook. Let's do yarn add, use the bounced effect hook, and let's import it. Let's see, I'm going to import it here, and now we can use it instead of our regular use effect. Yeah, so now let's see. If I refresh, we get check for 100, and if I type 200, nothing have changed because maybe I need to put like a delay here of 300 milliseconds. Let's clear, let's change 200, nothing have changed. Let's see why. Amount 300, let's see inside documentation here. We get dependencies, and this should work. Let's see, refresh. Something doesn't work. Let's see if the amount is changed. So maybe under here I will do amount, and let's see. Yeah, amount changes, but it looks like this function is not triggered. So this doesn't work. We need to use another one. Let's use this one. Yarn add, use the bounce effect. Let's do yarn. Let's remove the old one. Yarn remove, and yarn add the new one. Oops, now we have double yarn add. And let's see how we are using this, like this, import. So let's import this, and then we just use it like this, use the bounced effect. And the params are different. First, we have this arrow function, then we have delay, and then we have dependencies. So let's go here. First goes the delay, and then we have dependencies. Right, now let's see. If I refresh, something is broken. Let's see. Let's restart our environment, yarn dev. Okay, now let's see. 200, and it works. If I change to 350, we get only 350. If I do 1 to 3, we didn't get for each keystroke, but instead we get from 4 only 1 to 3. So that is better. And now instead of check for, we will first, let's see, if I refresh, we have check for 100. I don't want to check on the beginning because on the beginning we are calling this defaults. So I want to check if this is different from the default value. So here's our default value, default amount or previous amount. Maybe I can call it previous amount. So let's do something like this. Const previous amount and set previous amount equals use state, and the previous amount was 100. On the beginning, let's do this 100. All right, but now here first I will check if amount is different than previous amount. Then we will do check for the amount. So if I refresh, we don't have any console logs here, as you can see, nothing in the console. But if I check for change for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 something, we get this console log here. So now we can use this API endpoint. Let's see, offers. Let's see if everything is deployed. I will redeploy it just in case. And we can use this URL. I will copy this. So let's do Axios get. I will do backticks here, offers, and I don't need any params here. Now I can pass amount, and I need to pass amount. So let's do question mark amount equals, and then this amount here. So I can put dollar, curly brackets, and here amount. And I do Axios get, yes, it looks fine. Then let's do dot then I get response, and with this response, what should I do? With the response I get data like let's see, I will hit debug, and it will not look like this. It will be it will look different. It will be an object. This. Pay base this, guardian this, MoonPay this. Yeah. So we want to maybe reuse the same, maybe not cached results. Let's use something else. Let's do const, and let's not call it cache results, but instead let's call it offers, offer results, and set offer results. Use state default will be null. Right, and here we will do set offer results, and we'll just do response data. All right, and this should work. Now we can check offer results somewhere down there. And after we set it, we will do also set previous amount to the new amount here. Right, and let's see. Here we are showing the old, cached data. When should we show the cached? We should show the cached if and only if this is different, the amount is different than 100. So maybe I can define it here, the 100. So let's do default amount will be a string of 100, and instead of putting hundreds here, I will do default amount. All right, and the cached results are always for 100, but here I can also do const show cached, and show cached will be true only if amount is the same as default amount. All right, and now if this is true, we are showing this. We are always showing this, but I want to change this to let's do show cached, and let's put it here. If it's not loading and show cached is true, then let's do sorted cache, blah blah blah, and this. But if we have, and let's remove this 100 flying under the logo. But if we change it to 200, then nothing happens, right? We get the data, but nothing is displayed. When it's checking, let's see, we should also do set loading to true. And when we get the data, we should also display it. So we should do another if it's not loading and not show cached. So we have a data that is specific for our offer. And then we want to do parentheses, and we want to show for all of the 4 offers that we have inside offers, offer results. So here we have an object, and here we have an array. So I would like to transform this to an array, the similar we get from for the sorted cache. So let's do const. Let's see how it looks like. It's a null. Let's make it an empty object by default. And now sorted results equals. And now first we want to transform it. So let's do object keys. So first we are grabbing keys of offer results, and then for each key, let's do key or provider name. Let's call it provider. We want to return an object, and for this object, let's do return, and we want to return provider. I think we want to return this provider and BTC. So we want to return provider, and we want to return BTC. BTC is the value. So let's do offer results of provider. Right, so this should work. Let's see why it's complaining. This is any. Okay, let's put here, this is the same. It looks the same as cached result. Cached result. And let's see what's the problem here. Let's add here as string. If I add the parentheses, does it help? No, it still has type any. And because expression string can be used to index type object. Okay, so I need to type what is inside offer results. So let's do type offer result, and it's just a key. It's just an object where the key is a string, and the offer results is an object where the keys are strings, the provider names, and the values are strings as well. So here offer results are offer results. Yeah, and now let's see, and this fixes this problem here. Right, and we don't need those parentheses here. And now let's see, this return is missing the following properties. Provider BTC. We have provider and we have BTC. So let's see what's the problem. Return object. We don't need this return because we have return object here. Okay, and now let's see. Sorted results is declared, but its value is never used. Okay, now the only problem is that it's not used. So let's use it here. So here we will do just sorted results map result that is cached result, or maybe we don't need to type it. Let's do parentheses, and let's do the same thing we did here. Right, so here we get 400 now. But if I change to 200, it should show the loading. It shows the loading. And when it fetches the latest data for 200, it should show the result. Or maybe not if something has failed. Let's see. Yeah, we get an error. So let me refresh. If I change to 200, it worked. The request on the backend worked. We get the values, but they are not displayed here. Let's see why. Let's see, set loading to true. This set loading to true should go here before we'll do the Axios request. After we are done, whoops, I will copy this, and after we are done, we should change this to false. Okay, and let me refresh this. Let's clear everything. Yeah, and if we change to 200, it's loading, and we get values for 200. So everything works, but it's not sorted. So we have 7 free that should be on the top. So this is not sorted. Let's do maybe, let's rename this to, or maybe let's sort them here. So let's do sort by from Lodash, parentheses here, parentheses there. And let's sort by BTC. And we want to do reverse on this as well. All right, so now we have 7 free here, 7 2, 7 1, 7 1. So that is okay. If I change to 100, it refreshes, even if it shouldn't, because, or maybe it should because it's different amount. It's fetching the latest values. But here we can also do if the amount is the same as default amount, let's just do return nothing, and it will be handled by showing the cached results from the database, the latest for 100. Right, so now everything works except one thing, the most important, that we should make links of all of this, right? So let's go to result row. And let's see, here's a div. Let's change it to a link here and a here. We have a class names here. I need to add also a href. So we have those different providers here. Paybiz, Guardian, MoonPay, Transact. Are all of those .com? Let's see, Guardian.com, MoonPay.com, Transact.com. Let's see, is Paybase also.com? Yes, Paybase is also.com. So we can just take the provider name and add .com. So let's do something like this. Backticks HTTPS / and let's put here provider name, and let's add .com, and let's also add a target to be blank, and we also want to add block here so it will look good. Okay, so for $100 the best value is at Guardian. So if I click this link, I will be redirected to Guardian website. Let's see, guardian.com. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't load, but let's see, other link, Paybase, yeah, it works, and Transact, it works. Let's see, Guardian, yeah, it should also work. Let's see, MoonPay works, Guardian, it weird that Guardian doesn't open from a different when you have a link to Guardian. But let's link it differently than Guardian, and let's link to Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. So let's do something like this. I will do const URL equals this, or maybe let's do let, and I will put this URL here. And if provider name is Guardian, then to the URL I want to add a / buy Bitcoin. Why not? / buy Bitcoin. Right, and now let's see. This is probably something wrong with my browser. If I refresh Guardian, that is really odd, but it's most likely something with my browser. Let's see, refresh. Guardian.com. It's like a different website. Guardarian.com. Okay, I have misspelled this. Okay, so now we need to change it everywhere to Guardarian. So sorry about this. Let's first fix it here on our backend. Providers, Guardarian, and let's see, MoonPay and Guardarian. Let's change it also here. I want to have the correct names, Guardarian and Guardarian here. Oops, and Guardarian. Yes, and now let's see, offers. This looks fine. Cash values, and here we have Guardian. Let's do Guardarian. And we need to run our cache here. So let's see, providers. Yeah, we need to run our scheduled function that we had here. Let's do edit, and maybe let's just run debug so it will run. Yes, so this will be updated, and I think that's all we need to update here. Now we get an error. Let's see, Guardarian. Did you mean Guardian in providers? Okay, something in providers is not changed. And let's see what here we have Guardarian and MoonPay, then Guardian here, Guardarian. Okay, and cached, and let's debug. So we will fetch the latest values for $100 and save it to our database. And it worked. No, it fetched. Here is the cache function debug. And this should work as well. I will also deploy everything, and everything works. Now here, Guardarian, and yes, is it only here? Let's see, app. Do we have any Guardian here? No, so this should work fine. Let's see if I refresh. Yeah, Guardarian, everything works. Now if I click here, it works. So it wasn't a problem with my browser, it was a problem that I misspelled Guardarian. All right, so now everything works. The app is a little bit bigger here, but this is mainly because, let's see, here we have some error. Map does not exist on cached result. Let's see, sorted results. Sorted results is a cached result. It's not cached result, it's offer results. Yes, and now let's see, this should disappear. Oh, let's wait a second. It's an, let's see, this is an offer results. Let's see, this is sorted and this is any. We need to change it that this is actually cached result. Array, an array of cached result, and same with this array of cached result. And now we don't have any errors here, so that is better. I get only error with this loader, I don't know why. But now here, as you can see, I can remove this typing because it knows automatically where it is. I can remove the parentheses, and now this and this is almost the same. The only difference is those. So I can do something like this: const rows, and if show cached, then the rows will be sorted cache, otherwise sorted results, and sorted results. And now I can use just rows on one of those. So let's do here rows. I don't need this one, and I don't need to check if I want to show cached or not cached, because it's inside rows. If it's cached, then sorted cache, otherwise sorted results. So now the app is a little bit smaller. We have a loading. If you want to make it even smaller, you can put this this as a loading skeleton, or maybe I can show you how to do this. So we can do source new file loading skeleton.tsx, export default function loading skeleton. Yes, and parentheses here, return. And we just need to, let's go back to our app, and we are grabbing this, and here we are showing loading skeleton. And here we are doing return this. And now our app is even smaller. Let's see. Yeah, so we have input, we have some main element with this header. We could maybe put the rest as this, and the logo as a layout or something like this, and separate component, but it's not needed. I think this component is small enough. And here we have some use effects, but that is fine. So now I think we are done with our app. Let's see, once again, if I change something here, it refreshes. We have this cool animation. We can add even better animation here. Let's go to not loading skeleton, result row, and we can do border top and border white, and let's do 25. And now it also has this white border on the top, like a extra shadow. So if I do 100 and if I refresh, as you can see, we get the color here, but also border on the top. If I refresh, it works really fast, but let's do maybe 300. So it takes a few seconds to grab the latest data. Not latest data, but data for this specific offer. And yeah, everything works. And we can check specific offer. We have default for $100. And for our backend functionality, we have 4 functions. And the first was we created functions for each provider here. Let me make this smaller. For Paybase, Guardarian, MoonPay, Transact, we created a function to get all offers. And then we have this function that we are using with this link to grab offers for a specific amount that we are passing through the query parameter. And we are using this function where we change the value here. We have a function cache that grabs 100 offers for $100, and we added a cron job for this one that runs every day, and it saves the values to the database. And with this cache values function, with this URL that we are also using when we load our app, we are using the values from the database, from the cached offers table. As you can see here, those are the values that we are fetching with this function, cached offers, because we are just grabbing all of the offers for all of those 4 providers, and we are just returning it, and we are grabbing this from the database. Yeah, so if you need a simple backend, this is, I think, the way to go. They have really good, they have really generous free package for the users, so you can have like 100,000 invocations on the functions. So even for the free tier, you get a lot of functionality, and then you pay if the app grows, if you need it. But for creating simple backends, I think this is an awesome tool. Aircode.io, I really recommend it. Otherwise, you need to put this as a Next.js app or maybe a MERN app, and you need to deploy it yourself. Yeah, so we have those 4 functions, and here we have our React app that uses these functions. And yeah, now everything works and we see the best deals. And it's the values that are shown here are cached in database. So every 24 and every day we cache new values that are fetched from the database. So we see the latest data for $100. And if we change, we fetch for this specific offer, for this specific amount, in this specific time point, what will be the offers for those. And yeah, looks like everything works. It was a long project, but not too much functionality, but we could add some Typescript and animations, and I think it looks really good with those skeleton animations. And we created a really simple backend for our app using this Aircode.io tool. So that's all for today. I hope you learned something new, and if you did, please click the like button and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one. Have a nice day and see you in the next video.